The phone vibrates on my desk for the third time. I don't even need to look at the screen. I know exactly who it is. Gloria, my mother-in-law. Again, I pinch the bridge of my nose, exhaling slowly as I watch the phone screen light up. Decline. I set the phone down, but my pulse is already spiking with frustration. It's never just a friendly check-in. She only calls when she needs something, when there's another urgent situation that somehow always involves my wallet. I try to focus on the documents in front of me, but my mind is already racing. I can predict the conversation word for word. She'll start with an exaggerated sigh, tell me how much she and my wife's father sacrificed for Camille growing up, remind me that family helps family, then smoothly slide into a desperate plea for money. Another loan, another favor, another financial rescue. I push my chair back, standing up to stretch. Maybe if I ignore her long enough, she'll get the hint. 5 minutes later, the phone rings again. I clench my jaw. This time, I don't even bother looking. I let it go to voicemail. Not even 30 seconds pass before the notification dings. With a reluctant sigh, I press play, her voice crackling through the speaker. Malcolm, why aren't you answering? It's urgent. Call me back immediately. I scoff under my breath. Urgent. Everything is always urgent with her. I already know what this is about. Money. Again. A bitter chuckle escapes me as I sink back into my chair, rubbing a hand over my face. I don't even need to check my bank records to know how much I've given her over the years. The list of expenses I've covered for Camille's family is long and painful. Her mother's overdue mortgage, her father's gambling debts, her sister Bianca's impulsive spending sprees. I've lost track of how many last times I've promised myself, only to cave the next time Camille looked at me with those pleading eyes. But this time, I'm done. The door creaks open, and I look up to see Camille stepping inside. My wife, beautiful and composed as always, tilts her head in curiosity when she notices my expression. Everything okay? She asks. I hesitate for a moment. This is it. The moment I finally set the boundary I should have drawn years ago. Your mother called, I say, keeping my tone even. She exhales, rolling her eyes as she walks closer. Yeah, she said she was going to reach out. Of course, she did. Camille sits on the edge of my desk, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. She just needs a little help, that's all. Nothing big, just enough to... No, I say firmly. She stops mid-sentence, blinking at me as if I'd just spoken in another language. What? I said no. I fold my arms across my chest, my voice steady. I'm done paying for your family's mistakes. Camille's lips part slightly, as if struggling to process my words. But you always help them, she says, almost hesitantly. I shake my head. Not anymore. Silence stretches between us. The disbelief on her face shifts into something unreadable, her fingers gripping the edge of my desk. She searches my face, as if waiting for me to take it back, to soften like I always do. But I don't. I can feel it, the shift. The moment she realizes I mean every single word. Her mouth opens, but nothing comes out at first. Then, after a tense pause, she exhales sharply. Wow, she says. So that's it? Just like that? I nod. Just like that. She stands abruptly, her posture stiff, her arms crossing over her chest. They're my family, Malcolm. I know that. And they need help. No, Camille, I say, shaking my head. They need to take responsibility. She lets out a short, bitter laugh, shaking her head. You don't understand. My mom's been under so much stress, and Bianca just went on a weekend trip to Miami. I cut in, my patience thinning. And your mom has made more financial mistakes than I can count. I'm not doing it anymore. Her eyes flash with something close to anger. So you're just going to let them suffer? I lean forward, resting my elbows on my desk. I've given them over $80,000 in the past 3 years. I've sacrificed enough. She shakes her head again, looking away as if searching for the right words. But there's nothing left to say. For years, I've put up with it. The late-night sob stories, the guilt trips, the constant expectation that I'd swoop in and fix their problems every time they mismanaged their finances. And for what? To be drained dry while they continued living recklessly, assuming I'd always be there to clean up their messes? No more. I push back from my desk and stand, looking her dead in the eye. I love you, Camille, but I'm not an ATM. Her throat bobs as she swallows, blinking rapidly. For the first time in years, I see it, the realization that I mean it. She turns toward the door, and for a split second, I think she might leave without another word. But just before stepping out, she pauses, gripping the door frame. I never thought you'd be so selfish, she murmurs. The words sting more than they should, but I force myself to stay calm. I'm not selfish, I say quietly. I'm just done being used. And for the first time in a long time, I feel a strange sense of relief. As Camille disappears down the hallway, I sink back into my chair, exhaling slowly. Something tells me this is only the beginning. But no matter what comes next, I won't break. I barely get an hour of peace before my phone starts buzzing again. This time, it isn't just Gloria. It's everyone. A text notification pops up, followed by another, then another, piling up like relentless waves crashing against the shore. Gloria, how could you do this to family? Bianca, wow, so selfish. Warren, after all we've done for you? I scoff. After all they've done for me? I lean back in my chair, shaking my head in disbelief. They actually think I owe them something. Like I haven't spent years, draining my hard-earned money into their bottomless pit of bad decisions. And yet, the moment I decide to set a boundary, I'm the villain. I put my phone on silent, but the messages don't stop. I switch tabs on my laptop, trying to get some work done, but my mind is stuck on a loop. Camille's last words before she walked out still echo in my head. I never thought you'd be so selfish. Selfish. The word stings in a way I wasn't expecting, burrowing under my skin. I glanced toward the door, half expecting Camille to storm back in, ready for round two. But the house is eerily quiet. A part of me wants to chase after her, to explain, to reason, to make her understand. But another, louder part of me knows it wouldn't make a difference. She doesn't want an explanation. She wants compliance. I need to get out of here. I grab my keys and head for the door, ignoring the phone that's still lighting up with texts I refuse to read. 30 minutes later, I'm sitting across from Marcus at a quiet bar downtown. Marcus, my best friend since college, has always been the one voice of reason when it comes to this mess. A financial analyst by trade, he's spent years warning me about the way Camille's family leeches off me. I just never wanted to listen. Now, I wish I had. You finally set boundaries? Marcus asks, stirring his whiskey with an amused smirk. Took you long enough. I exhale sharply, rubbing my temples. Camille's pissed. Her family's pissed. My phone's been blowing up for hours. Marcus snorts. Of course they're pissed. You just cut off their personal ATM. I shoot him a look. Not helping. He shrugs. I'm just saying, man. They were always gonna react like this. You let them get used to the idea that your money was their money. The moment you changed the script, you became the villain. I run a hand through my hair, feeling the weight of it all. Camille's acting like I betrayed her. Marcus leans back, sipping his drink. Did she marry you? Or did she marry a financial safety net? The question hits harder than I'd like to admit. I don't answer right away. I don't want to believe that my marriage was built on financial dependence rather than love. But right now, I can't ignore the sinking feeling in my gut. She's giving me the cold shoulder, I mutter, acting like I abandoned her family. Marcus snorts. Didn't you pay off her mom's mortgage? And her dad's debts? And, let's not forget, that $7,000 loan to Bianca that you never saw again. I sigh. $7,500. Even worse. Marcus shakes his head, setting down his glass. Look, man, I get it. You love your wife. You don't want to see her hurt. But let's be real. You've been carrying her whole damn family for years. When does it stop? I rub my face, exhausted. Apparently never. Marcus gives me a knowing look. You're expecting them to respect your boundary. I nod slowly. He chuckles darkly. They won't. I frown. Why? Because people like that don't respect boundaries. They only respect what they can take from you. His words sink in like stones in water. I sit there for a long moment, staring at my untouched drink. They only respect what they can take from you. I think about every time I bailed them out. Every time I was guilt-tripped into giving more than I was comfortable with. Every time Camille looked at me not as a husband, but as a provider. And suddenly, I see it all so clearly. I lean forward, my voice quieter now. They're never gonna stop, are they? Marcus shakes his head. Not unless you make them. I exhale, drumming my fingers against the table. What's my next move? Marcus tilts his head. Depends. Are you ready to actually take control? Something shifts inside me. For the first time, I realize that this isn't just about money. This is about my self-respect, my marriage, my sanity, and I refuse to let them keep pulling me under. I lean back, a slow smirk forming. Oh, I'm ready, I say. Marcus raises an eyebrow. You got a plan? I nod. Yeah, and they'll never see it coming. That night, I don't go home to the bedroom. Camille barely speaks to me when I walk in the house. She's in the living room, scrolling on her phone, probably venting to Bianca about what a selfish, heartless husband I am. I don't say a word. I don't argue. Instead, I head straight to my office. I close the door behind me, sit down at my desk, and pull out my laptop. Then, I start planning. The next time they try to come for me, I won't just say no. I'll make sure they never expect a yes again. Let the games begin. The morning starts with a deceptive kind of quiet. For a moment, as I sip my coffee and skim through emails, I allow myself the illusion that Camille and her family have accepted my decision. Then my phone vibrates. Again, I glance at the screen, already knowing what I'll see. It's Gloria. I let it ring. It stops, only to start again 5 seconds later. I sigh and decline the call, rubbing my temples. I already know the routine. First comes guilt. Then, when that doesn't work, comes manipulation. And sure enough, 5 minutes later, Camille walks into the kitchen with a whole new attitude. She's soft today, too soft. Her usual sharp words are absent. Instead, she moves to the coffee machine, acting as if last night's tension never happened. Morning, she says, stirring sugar into her mug. I glance at her over my cup. Morning. She sips her coffee, then sets the mug down and turns to me with a small smile. I was thinking, she pauses, tracing the rim of the mug. Maybe we overreacted last night. We? I say nothing, waiting. She moves closer, resting a hand on my arm. A gentle touch, a familiar warmth, a calculated move. I know this has been stressful, she says softly, and I get why you're frustrated. But Malcolm, it's just this once. Just one more time. I place my cup down, exhaling slowly. There it is. The pivot. Just yesterday, I was selfish, cold, uncaring. But now? Now I'm the loving husband who should just do it one more time. I look her in the eye, steady. No. Her smile falters. Malcolm, come on. No. I repeat, my voice firmer. The warmth in her eyes vanishes. The soft touch retracts. For a moment, her jaw tightens, her fingers gripping the counter as if trying to rein in her irritation. Then, she tries again. It's just that. Bang, bang, bang. The knock at the front door startles both of us. Camille's eyes widen slightly, but something about her expression isn't surprised. She knows who it is. I stand, setting my mug down with deliberate slowness. When I open the door, Gloria storms in. She doesn't wait for an invitation. She doesn't even acknowledge me before pushing past, heading straight into the house like she owns it. Camille, baby, she says breathlessly. Did you tell him? Did you explain how serious this is? I close the door, taking my time. I knew she would show up. I just didn't think she'd be stupid enough to pull this in person. Morning, Gloria, I say, leaning against the doorframe. She spins on me. Her face is already twisted in fake outrage, her hands clenched. Morning? You think this is a morning to be calm? Malcolm, they're foreclosing on the house. We're about to lose everything. I blink at her. It takes effort not to laugh. Foreclosing? I say, tilting my head. That's funny, because I checked the property records last night. Your mortgage isn't in foreclosure. Gloria's face drops. For the first time, she stumbles. She falters, then straightens, shifting tactics. We're close to foreclosure. The bank is already sending notices. If we don't get help now, not my problem, I cut in. Camille inhales sharply beside me. Malcolm, don't. I turn to her. She's lying. Again. Gloria gasps like I just slapped her. She clutches her chest, shaking her head. How could you say that? Do you think I'm making this up? I don't answer. I just stare. Because I don't need to prove anything. I already did my research. Gloria's desperate expression flickers. For a split second, she knows I've caught her. Then, she pivots. She raises her voice. You're abandoning us. After everything we've done for you. After we welcomed you into our family. After we treated you like a son. I let out a slow, amused exhale. Like a son? She falters again. Camille steps forward quickly. Malcolm, please. It's not just about my mom. It's about us. Us. Now she's dragging our marriage into it. The final phase of their game. Emotional blackmail. But I don't take the bait. I keep my voice calm. Camille, I love you. But this isn't about you. This is about you expecting me to solve your family's problems. Her throat works, her hands curling into fists. Gloria is fuming now, glaring at me like she could set me on fire. You're heartless, she hisses. What will people say about you? About the way you've treated your wife's family? That's when I know she has nothing left. She's down to empty threats. I smile, tilting my head. I guess we'll find out. And right on cue, my phone vibrates. I glance at the screen. Bianca has just posted about me on Facebook. My name, plastered all over social media, painted as the worst, most heartless husband in the world. The comments are already brutal. Camille deserves better than a selfish man like him. A real man takes care of his wife's family. How embarrassing for her. I chuckle under my breath. Camille sees my reaction, and for the first time, she hesitates. Wait, she murmurs. What's so funny? I look at her, then at Gloria. Then, I smirk. Wait for it, I say simply. They don't know what's coming, but they will. Soon. I sit alone in my office that night, the glow of my laptop screen casting shadows across my face. Gloria thinks she's won. Camille thinks she's forced my hand. Bianca and the rest of them are sitting back, convinced that public humiliation will bring me to my knees. They're wrong. I've played this game for years, given in to their demands, caved under their pressure, paid for their mistakes. Not anymore. I lean forward, fingers tapping rhythmically against the desk, my mind racing with the kind of move they won't see coming. It starts with exposing their lies. I open the folder I compiled last night, Gloria's financial records. The so-called foreclosure? A lie. She isn't on the verge of losing her home. In fact, she has more savings than she pretends. Thousands sitting in a tucked-away account, untouched. Then there's Bianca, the struggling victim of my supposed cruelty. The same Bianca who, according to her credit card statements, just spent $3,500 on a vacation last month. Hypocrisy runs deep in that family. I open a new tab and type in a name. Julian Carter. I met Julian years ago, a high-profile business consultant, the kind of man who turns sinking businesses into gold mines. He's the best at what he does. And right now, I need to be untouchable. The phone rings twice before he picks up. Malcolm, Julian greets smoothly. It's been a while. Yeah, I say, leaning back in my chair. I need your expertise. A pause, then a knowing chuckle. This about your wife's family? Julian is no stranger to my complaints. He's seen how much money I've poured into Camille's family, watched as I let them bleed me dry. I don't need to explain. He already understands. I want to make some changes, I say. I need to separate my business, my finances, everything, from this mess. Julian hums. Cutting emotional ties is the first step. But tell me, Malcolm, are you ready to actually enforce it? I don't hesitate. Yes. There's silence on the other end. Then, good. For the next hour, we strategize. Julian outlines a plan to expand my business, secure my assets, and make sure no one, not Camille, not her mother, not Bianca, can ever access my finances again. Give me a few days, Julian says. I'll draft the necessary paperwork, restructure your business, and ensure that when this storm hits, you come out stronger. I end the call feeling lighter. For the first time in years, I'm not just reacting. I'm preparing. The next morning, Camille is silent. She's already seen the social media posts, the comments tearing into me. She expects me to cave, but I don't. Instead, I pour myself a cup of coffee, completely unfazed. She watches me, waiting. Then, finally, she speaks. You saw the post, didn't you? I sip my coffee. I did. And her voice rises. You're just going to ignore it? People are calling you a terrible husband. They're saying you don't care about your family. That's because they don't know the truth, I interrupt. She crosses her arms, frustration rolling off her in waves. And what is the truth, Malcolm? I set my mug down with deliberate slowness. That your mother isn't actually facing foreclosure. Camille freezes. I see it, the flicker of doubt in her eyes, the second of hesitation before she forces herself to look indignant. Of course she is, she says, but there's something off in her tone now. I lean against the counter. No, she isn't. I checked the records. Camille swallows. You, what? I checked, I repeat, and I found something interesting. Your mother has a very healthy savings account. And Bianca? She isn't struggling. She's spending. Her face pales. She knows. She knew before I even said it. She just didn't think I'd find out. I shake my head, pushing off the counter. So tell me, Camille, who's the selfish one here? She opens her mouth, closes it. For the first time, she has no argument. But I'm not done. I pull out my phone and dial Gloria's number. Camille's eyes widen. Malcolm. I put the phone on speaker. Gloria answers almost instantly. Well, she says, her voice thick with fake warmth. You finally called back. I don't bother with small talk. How much do you have in your savings, Gloria? Silence. Then, excuse me? I stay firm. Your savings. The account you've been hiding while telling everyone you're broke? Her tone shifts. Malcolm, I don't know what you're talking about, but I think it's incredibly disrespectful for you to. I don't let her finish. You lied, I say. And you made your daughter lie for you. Camille stiffens beside me. Gloria scoffs. I don't have to stand for this. No, you don't, I agree. But I hope you stand for this. If you or Bianca so much as hint at asking me for money again, I will expose everything. Publicly. A sharp inhale. You wouldn't dare. I smirk. Wouldn't I? The silence is deafening. Then, click. She hangs up. Camille whirls on me. That was unnecessary. No, I say, stepping closer. What's unnecessary is me paying for their mistakes while you stand by and let it happen. Her throat bobs. She doesn't look at me. I shake my head, stepping back. You know what? I say, my voice eerily calm. I used to think you were stuck in the middle of this. But now? Now I know you were always on their side. She gasps. Malcolm. I walk past her, grabbing my keys. I have a meeting, I say over my shoulder. With Julian. With my future. And for the first time in years, it won't include her family. The air is thick with tension when I step back into the house that evening. Camille is already in the living room, phone in hand, her expression dark and unreadable. She's been waiting for me. I close the door behind me, my movements slow and deliberate. I know exactly what this is about. The fallout. The moment I exposed Gloria's lie, everything shifted. Now, Camille isn't just upset. She's desperate. You went too far, she says without looking up. Her voice is tight, controlled. I toss my keys onto the table and shrug out of my jacket. No, Camille. Your mother went too far. She exhales sharply, finally meeting my gaze. You embarrassed her. No, I say calmly, stepping closer. She embarrassed herself. I expect another argument, but instead, Camille simply presses her lips together, her fingers tightening around her phone. Something's wrong. I narrow my eyes. What did she do? Her silence lasts a second too long. Then, my phone vibrates. I don't even need to check it. I already know. Still, I pull it out of my pocket and glance at the screen. The message is from Marcus. Bro, check Facebook. Now. A slow, cold anger spreads through me as I unlock my phone and open the app. And there it is. Bianca's latest post. A GoFundMe campaign. Help our mother save her home, because her son-in-law won't. My picture, plastered at the top of the page, like a wanted poster. The caption beneath it twists the truth beyond recognition. After years of helping and supporting him, our family is now being thrown aside. My mother, a kind and selfless woman, is on the verge of losing her home, and the one person who could help, my sister's husband, has turned his back on us. If you believe in kindness and doing what's right, please donate. Every little bit helps. The comments are brutal. Wow, what a heartless man. How do you let your own wife's mother suffer? Disgusting. Imagine treating family like that. If I were Camille, I'd leave him immediately. I scroll, feeling something dark coil inside me. The donation amount is climbing. Hundreds of dollars pouring in from strangers who think they know the full story. I exhale slowly, controlled, steady, because if I don't, I might just punch a hole through the nearest wall. I look up at Camille. Did you know about this? She doesn't answer right away. That's enough. My jaw tightens. Did you? No? Her eyes flick away. I told them not to post it, she says quietly. I laugh. A short, bitter sound. And yet, here we are. She stands abruptly, arms wrapping around herself. Malcolm, you have to understand. My mom is desperate. What else was she supposed to do? I shake my head, shoving my phone in my pocket. I don't know, Camille. Maybe not scam people? Her expression hardens. It's not a scam. People want to help. They want to help because they think I'm some kind of villain. She flinches, but I don't let up. They lied, Camille. Again. They manipulated the story, made me look like a monster, and now they're profiting off it. And you're still defending them. She swallows, but she doesn't deny it. That's when I realize. She won't ever change. It doesn't matter what I say, what proof I provide. Camille will always side with them. And that's when I know. It's time to end this. Marcus calls an hour later. You good, he asks. I stare out the window, gripping my phone tightly. Define good. He sighs. Listen, man. They're dragging you hard. It's all over social media now. People are talking, even outside your circle. You need to do something. I know. I say quietly. A pause. Then, what's your move? I glance at my laptop, at the folder containing every piece of evidence I've gathered. Then, at the email draft sitting open on my screen. An invitation to a press conference. I exhale slowly, my decision made. They want war? I say, my voice calm. They'll get one. The next day, the press gathers. Cameras flash. Reporters murmur. The air is thick with curiosity. And when I step onto the stage, I don't hesitate. I want to start by saying that I've always believed in helping family. I begin, my voice steady. But helping someone doesn't mean letting them take advantage of you. The room is silent. I hold up a folder. This contains bank statements, transaction records, and proof that my mother-in-law has been lying about her financial situation. The foreclosure? Fake. The debt? Exaggerated. The struggling family? Not struggling at all. A murmur sweeps through the room. I turn to the screen behind me and press a button on my remote. Projected in bold, undeniable detail, Gloria's hidden savings. Bianca's luxury expenses. The GoFundMe campaign's deceitful claims. Then, the real bombshell. As of today, I am launching a financial independence foundation, I announce. A foundation dedicated to helping real struggling families. Families who don't manipulate and lie to take from others. A gasp ripples through the crowd. And in the back of the room, I see them. Camille, Gloria, Bianca. Their faces drained of color. Bianca jumps up. Liar, she shouts. I turn toward her, completely unfazed. Then explain these bank statements. I gesture to the screen. The cameras capture everything. Gloria's mouth opens. Nothing comes out. And just like that, their house of lies crumbles. The GoFundMe donations dry up. The public turns on them. And for the first time, I win. The fallout begins immediately. As soon as the press conference ends, the public tide shifts. Social media explodes, not with sympathy for Camille's family, but with outrage. The GoFundMe campaign? Shut down. The donations? Frozen pending investigation. The comments? Brutal. Wow. So they scammed people? I actually donated. I feel sick. This guy was being framed the whole time? By the time I walk out of the conference building, my phone is vibrating nonstop. News outlets are picking up the story. Bloggers are tearing Gloria apart. Camille and Bianca? Silent. And I know exactly why. I drive home, my hands steady on the wheel. The game is over. They played their cards. I played mine. And I won. The house is quiet when I step inside. Too quiet. I drop my keys on the counter, listening. No footsteps. No television. Nothing. Then, movement from upstairs. I take my time climbing the steps. The bedroom door is slightly ajar, and when I push it open, Camille is sitting on the bed, her phone clutched in her hands, staring blankly at the screen. She looks up as I enter, her eyes red-rimmed, shaken. "They're tearing us apart," she whispers. I lean against the doorway, folding my arms. "No," I correct. "They're tearing your family apart." Her lips tremble. "You humiliated us." I arch a brow. "You mean I exposed you?" Her throat bobs as she swallows hard. I step closer, my voice lower now. "I warned you, Camille. I told you to cut this off before it got worse. But you didn't. You let them drag me through the mud, thinking I'd just take it." She looks away. I study her. The guilt in her posture. The way her fingers tremble as she scrolls through the comments, watching as the world turns against her family. She finally speaks, voice barely above a whisper. "Do you even love me anymore?" The question hits harder than I expect, because I don't answer right away. For so long, I fought for us. I ignored the warning signs, justified the manipulation, convinced myself that Camille was just caught in the middle. But now? I don't know if I can still separate her from them. So instead of answering, I say, "Do you even respect me?" Her head snaps up, eyes widening. "What?" I step even closer, letting the weight of my words settle. "Because love without respect means nothing, Camille." She blinks rapidly, stunned into silence. And that's when I realize, this marriage is already over. She knows it. I know it. She just doesn't want to say it first. I exhale slowly, stepping back toward the door. "You need to decide," I tell her. "Are you still my wife? Or are you still their daughter?" She stares at me, her breathing shallow. I hold her gaze for a long moment. Then, I turn and walk out. I don't slam the door. I don't yell. I just leave her with the choice. Because I already know what she'll pick. And this time, I won't fight to change it. That night, I get a call from Marcus. "Dude," he says as soon as I answer. "You just became the internet's new favorite underdog." I rub my forehead. "I don't care about that." "Well, you should. People are rallying behind you, man. Investors are reaching out. Big names. Your foundation idea? They want in." I pause. "Investors?" He continues. "I got calls from 2 major financial firms asking if you're looking for partnerships. Julian's already setting up meetings." A slow realization creeps over me. I wasn't just clearing my name. I was building something bigger. And now, I have power that Gloria and Camille's family will never be able to touch. "Malcolm," Marcus says, his voice more serious now. "What's your next move?" I stare out the window, my reflection staring back. Then, I smirk. "We keep going," I say. "Bigger, stronger, untouchable." Marcus chuckles. Now that's the energy I like. As I end the call, I glance toward the bedroom door. Still closed. Still silent. And for the first time in years, I feel absolutely nothing. No guilt. No regret. No urge to fix things. Just clarity. Camille made her choices. Now, I make mine. The house is eerily quiet when I wake up the next morning. I slept in the guest room last night. Not because Camille kicked me out, but because I didn't want to sleep beside her. I roll my shoulders as I sit up, exhaling slowly. I feel lighter. For years, I've been carrying the weight of Camille's family on my back. Their problems, their debts, their never-ending expectations. But after the press conference, that weight is gone. I stand, stretching, before making my way downstairs. The house is still silent. No sign of Camille. Then, just as I pour myself a cup of coffee, the front door bursts open. I don't even flinch. I already know who it is. Gloria. She storms in, her face red, eyes blazing with fury. I don't even bother greeting her. Instead, I casually sip my coffee and lean against the counter. She slams her purse onto the table, her hands shaking. How dare you? I raise an eyebrow. How dare I, what? Her nostrils flare. You ruined us. You humiliated my family. You embarrassed Camille, you exposed the truth? I interrupt smoothly. She gasps as if I slapped her. I sip my coffee again, completely unfazed. I warned you, Gloria. I continue. I told you to stop. But you and Bianca thought you could manipulate me, drag my name through the mud, and get away with it. Her hands clench into fists. You didn't have to do it publicly. I let out a low chuckle. Oh, but you had no problem making me the bad guy publicly. Her lips press into a thin line. And that's when it hits her. She lost. Completely. No more money. No more control. Nothing. I take another slow sip of coffee, watching as she realizes she has nothing left to hold over me. But Gloria? She's not the type to admit defeat. So she switches tactics. She tilts her head, her voice lowering to something almost pitiful. I don't understand, she murmurs. I thought we were family. I nearly laugh. Family? That's what she wants to play now. I shake my head. Family doesn't treat people the way you treated me. Her eyes glisten with fake emotion. But Malcolm, you know we've struggled. You've lied. Her mouth snaps shut. I step forward, placing my coffee down. I'm not responsible for you, Gloria. I never was. I hold her gaze, steady and unwavering. And I never will be again. She blinks rapidly, her face crumbling. And then, Camille walks in. She stops dead in her tracks when she sees us. Her eyes flick between me and her mother, and I see the hesitation in her face. She's torn. I know this is a defining moment, a choice. Does she stand by me? Or does she cling to the woman who has manipulated her for years? Gloria seizes the moment. Camille, baby, she says, turning to her daughter. You're not going to let him do this to us, are you? I watch. I wait. And then I see it. Camille's shoulders tense. She isn't crying. She isn't shouting. But she's thinking. For the first time since this all started, she's thinking. I see the war inside her. The years of conditioning versus the truth she can't ignore anymore. Then, her jaw tightens. She looks at me, then at her mother. And when she speaks, her voice is barely above a whisper. Mom, I think you should go. Gloria's face shatters. What? She gasps. Camille takes a shaky breath. I need to talk to Malcolm. Alone. For a moment, Gloria is too stunned to speak. Then, something ugly flashes in her eyes. This is what he wanted, she hisses. To turn you against me. To make you abandon your own family. I said go, Mom. Camille's voice wavers, but it doesn't break. And Gloria? She knows she's lost. She snatches her purse off the table, glares at me one last time, then storms toward the door. But just before stepping out, she turns back. Her voice is low and venomous. You'll regret this, Malcolm. I smirk. No, I won't. The door slams shut. And just like that, she's gone. Silence. Camille stands in the middle of the room, her hands shaking slightly. She looks at me, her expression unreadable. I don't know why I defended her for so long, she whispers. I exhale slowly. Because she raised you two. She swallows hard, nodding. A long silence stretches between us. Then, she finally asks, is it too late to fix this? And there it is. The real question. For years, I fought for this marriage. For her. But now? I don't know if there's anything left to fight for. I stare at her for a long moment. Then, I say the only thing I can. I don't know, Camille. She flinches. But she doesn't argue. Because she knows. She waited too long. The silence between us feels like a living thing. Camille stands across from me, her arms wrapped around herself, her breathing uneven. The air is thick, heavy with everything unsaid. I should feel relieved that she finally told Gloria to leave, that she finally saw the truth about her mother's manipulation. But all I feel is tired. Because this isn't just about Gloria. It never was. This is about us. And the truth is, I don't trust Camille anymore. She let them drag my name through the mud. She stood by while they called me selfish, heartless, while they publicly humiliated me. She knew. She knew her mother wasn't actually facing foreclosure. She knew Bianca was still living lavishly while playing the victim. She knew they were using me. And she let it happen. Now, after all that, she wants to fix this? I exhale slowly, pressing my fingers against my temples. Camille, I start, my voice calm but firm. You let this go too far. She flinches but doesn't argue. I know, she whispers. I was blind. I let them control me for so long. I thought I was doing the right thing. I watch her carefully. She sounds sincere. But sincerity doesn't erase the damage. Do you love me? She asks suddenly, her voice cracking. I inhale sharply. Love isn't the problem, Camille. Her lips tremble. Then what is? I shake my head. Respect. Trust. Loyalty. She swallows hard. I can fix that. I let out a bitter chuckle. How? She hesitates. Then, she says it. I'll cut them off. My chest tightens. I stare at her, searching for any sign of hesitation, any flicker of doubt. And there it is. The slight downward tilt of her lips. The faint tremor in her fingers. The way she doesn't quite meet my eyes. I sigh, stepping back. You don't mean that. Her head snaps up. Yes, I do. No, Camille. You're saying what you think I want to hear. I cross my arms. But deep down, you're still hoping you can make me forgive them. Her silence tells me everything. I let out a slow breath. I can't live like this anymore. She freezes. Malcolm. Her voice is barely above a whisper. I shake my head. I want a divorce. She sucks in a sharp breath, like I just punched her. No. Yes, I say simply. Her hands tremble as she steps forward. Malcolm, please. I hold up a hand. No. I gave you every chance, Camille. I warned you. I begged you to set boundaries, to put us first. But every time, you chose them. Her breathing is uneven, panic creeping into her expression. Do you really want to throw this away? She whispers. I sigh. I'm not throwing anything away. You did. She shakes her head furiously. No. No. I can fix this. I'll prove it to you. I cut her off. Then prove it. She blinks. What? I tilt my head. You want to fix this? Then cut them off. Completely. No contact, no phone calls, no excuses. Show me that I come first. Her throat bobs. She stops. Her fingers twitch, like she wants to grab her phone. Her eyes flick toward the door. And that's when I know. She'll never do it. Not fully. Not when it really matters. I let out a hollow laugh. See? I gesture toward her hesitation. This is the problem. You want me, but you want them too. Her eyes well with tears. It's not that simple. Yes, Camille. I hold her gaze. It is. She inhales sharply, her shoulders shaking. For a second, I think she might fight harder. That she might try to convince me to stay. But then, her face crumples. And she looks away. She knows it's over. I watch her break. The way her whole body slumps, the realization hitting her like a physical blow. I should feel guilty, but I don't. I just feel free. I'll have the divorce papers sent over, I say quietly. She doesn't stop me when I turn toward the stairs. She doesn't run after me. And as I pack my bags, I realize something. This is the first decision I've made for myself in years. No guilt, no obligation, just freedom. Hours later, I get a text from Bianca. Mom's selling her jewelry. Hope you're happy. I stare at the screen. Then, I laugh. I don't respond. Instead, another message comes through. This one from Gloria's husband, Warren. I heard what happened. Just so you know. I'm filing for divorce too. My eyebrows lift slightly. Warren has been in the background for years, quiet, passive, completely controlled by Gloria. If he's finally leaving, that means she's lost everything. I shake my head, amused. Karma works fast. That night, I drive to a hotel. I sit on the balcony, staring out at the city lights, my mind strangely calm. No more guilt. No more pressure. No more fixing things for people who refuse to change. I pull out my phone and dial Marcus. Man, he answers on the first ring. Please tell me you finally left. I smirk. Yeah, it's done. He exhales in relief. Took you long enough. I chuckle, shaking my head. Yeah. A long pause. Then, what's next for you? I take a deep breath, letting the cool night air fill my lungs. Then, I smile. Whatever the hell I want. And for the first time in years, that feels damn good. The first thing I notice after leaving Camille is the silence. Not the tense, suffocating silence of our house, thick with unspoken resentment. No, this is different. This silence is peaceful. For the first time in years, there's no buzzing phone. No emergency calls about Gloria's finances. No text from Bianca guilt-tripping me into paying for her reckless spending. No arguments. No begging. Just freedom. I wake up in my hotel room and stretch, staring at the ceiling, realizing something I hadn't in a long time. I can breathe again. And now, it's time to rebuild. By noon, I'm sitting across from Julian Carter. He leans back in his chair, studying me with his usual sharp gaze. So, he says, tapping his pen against the desk, you finally did it. I exhale, nodding. Yeah. I walked away. He nods approvingly. Good. Now let's make sure you don't leave any loose ends. Julian doesn't do half measures. He's the kind of man who makes sure when you cut ties, they stay cut. We go through my finances first. Every bank account. Every investment. By the time we're done, Camille has no access to my money. I canceled every shared card. Transferred all my personal savings into new accounts. Then, we move to the divorce strategy. Camille might not fight you, Julian says. But her mother? She's going to push her to demand more than she deserves. I smirk. Let her try. Because unlike before, I have nothing left to lose. That night, I grab a drink with Marcus. He takes one look at me and grins. Damn, you actually look relaxed. I chuckle. Because I am. He shakes his head. Man, I still can't believe Camille let it get this far. I sigh, swirling my drink. I can. Marcus raises an eyebrow. You're not even angry? I pause, then shake my head. Not anymore. I was angry, once. Furious. But now? Now, I just feel done. Marcus leans forward. So what's the plan? You gonna jump back into the dating pool? I laugh. Hell no. I don't want another relationship right now. For years, I lived for Camille. For her family. For everyone but myself. Now, I want to live for me. Marcus smirks. So what does living for you look like? I take a slow sip of my drink. Then, I grin. Expansion. He tilts his head. Your business? I nod. Julian's helping me scale. We're moving to bigger markets. New investments. I'm making sure that when people hear my name, it's associated with power and success, not being someone's ATM. Marcus whistles. Damn, you're really making this your villain origin story. I chuckle. Nah, man. I'm making it my rebirth. And I mean it. This isn't about revenge. It's not about proving a point to Camille or Gloria. It's about making sure I never let anyone take advantage of me again. A week later, I get a call. It's Camille. I stare at the screen, debating whether to answer. Then, I exhale and pick up. Yeah. There's a long pause before she speaks. I miss you. I close my eyes briefly. Camille. We can fix this, she whispers. I let out a slow breath. How? Silence. Because she knows. She knows that the only way to fix this is for her to cut her family off completely. And she can't do it. Finally, she speaks. Can we at least talk? I pause. Then, I say the words I should have said years ago. No. Her breath catches. Malcolm, please. No, Camille. I begged you to listen. I begged you to choose me, to set boundaries. And you didn't. I exhale. I've moved on. You should too. She sniffles. So that's it? I nod, even though she can't see me. Yeah. Then, before she can beg again, I hang up, and this time, I don't feel guilty. 2 weeks later, the divorce is finalized. No drawn-out fights. No unnecessary drama. She signs the papers. I sign the papers. And just like that, it's over. As I step out of the lawyer's office, I inhale deeply, letting the fresh air fill my lungs. This is it. My second chance. I pull out my phone and call Julian. It's done, I say. Good, he replies. Now let's make sure you come out of this stronger than ever. I smirk. Already ahead of you. Because this time, I'm not looking back. I never thought signing a single piece of paper could feel so liberating. But as I walk out of the lawyer's office, divorce finalized, I feel a weight lift off my shoulders that I didn't even realize I was still carrying. No more Gloria. No more Bianca. No more waking up to a new financial crisis that somehow became my responsibility. And most importantly, no more Camille. I don't hate her, but I don't love her anymore either. I gave her a choice, and in the end, she hesitated. That hesitation told me everything I needed to know. She was never going to put me first, and I refused to spend the rest of my life as someone's second choice. That night, I stand on the balcony of my penthouse suite, staring out at the city skyline. A month ago, I was trapped in a life where I had to ask permission to say no. Now, I answer to no one. The sound of my phone buzzing pulls me from my thoughts. I glance at the screen. It's Marcus. I pick up. What's up? Man, he says, his voice laced with amusement. Have you seen the latest update on Camille's family? I smirk. No, but I have a feeling you're about to tell me. He chuckles. Oh, you'll love this. Guess who just got evicted from her so-called foreclosed home? I blink. Gloria? Bingo. I exhale slowly. How? Apparently, Warren went through with the divorce. And once he left, she couldn't afford the mortgage payments anymore. I let out a low whistle. So after all that manipulation, she actually lost the house for real. Marcus laughs. Karma works fast, man. I shake my head, not even surprised. Gloria spent years playing the victim, using guilt as a weapon, treating everyone around her like an ATM. It was only a matter of time before reality caught up with her. I sip my whiskey, staring out at the lights below. And Bianca? Marcus snorts. She vanished off social media. People were dragging her so hard for the GoFundMe scam. She deleted everything. I chuckle. Good. For years, I let them drain me. Now, they're drowning in the mess they created. 2 weeks later, I stand in the middle of a grand ballroom. The event is my official business expansion gala. Julian pulled some serious strings to make this happen. The room is filled with investors, CEOs, and some of the biggest financial names in the country. And I'm the man of the hour. As I scan the crowd, Marcus clinks glasses with me. So, he says, smirking, did she ever cut them off? I chuckle. Nope. Marcus shakes his head. But you cut her off. Damn right. He raises his glass. To new beginnings. I clink mine against his. To never being used again. Later that night, I receive an email. From Gloria. I shouldn't be surprised. Of course, even after losing everything, she still has the audacity to ask for more. I open the message. Malcolm, I know we've had our differences, but I'm reaching out as a mother who just wants what's best for her daughter. Camille is struggling. She misses you. I know you still love her. Maybe we can talk about a second chance? And if possible, I could use a small loan to get back on my feet. I would pay you back, of course. I stare at the screen for a long moment. Then, I laugh. The sheer delusion of this woman is breathtaking. After everything, she still thinks I'm stupid enough to give her another cent? I type out a single response. No. Then, I forward the email to Warren, her ex-husband, because he deserves to see just how desperate she's become. I hit send. Then, I block her email for good. The next morning, I wake up feeling lighter than ever. No regrets. No looking back. Just a fresh start. I grab my keys and step outside, ready to embrace my future. And for the first time in years, I'm finally free.